trying to get this thing on the road. UNA. Yeah. Halo. Welcome. 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 Yes, yes, yes. UNA. Yeah. All right, listen. We got a session today. The session is one of my more controversial topics, and we're talking about women in history. Women in history, the truth about women in history. And why is this topic so controversial? Why do people get so upset and angry with me when I start talking about this? They don't want to even hear the facts, but we're going to get into it today. And I hope that you all are ready. Now, if you are, some of y'all might be upset and angry about this topic. If you're not ready to hear the truth, I'm going to invite you to change the TV. Change the channel. Go to another channel, because I'm ready to get into it here. Now, before I do go into that, I want to make sure you all know about the books, all right? These are the law books, all right? I want to once again thank my people who purchased the UNA law book, okay? We have completely sold out of these books. For those of y'all who have gone and purchased them recently, they are on back order. We will be sending you updates via email so that you'll be able to check on the book. So you all can get this book at UNARepublic.com. You also can check the link in the bio. Check the link in the bio. All right, there's a link tree there, and it has all of the information, so you can go and get it. All right, so there's a link in the bio for the UNA beginner law book. Okay, so check that link in the bio. The ebook is $19.99. Okay, ebook is $19.99. The physical book is $39.99, and it does come with the hierarchy of law chart. All right, it comes with the universal law chart, and they're both laminated, and also laminated is the vibratory frequency chart. Okay, they are all in this book. They're very powerful laws and powerful information. So you've got the universal laws in here. You got the hierarchy of laws in here. You've got the maxims of law in here, all 300 and something of them. And as I told you all and tell you all often, if I'm going into a court where I'm suing somebody, I'm taking the laws in this book. Okay. There is a vibratory frequency chart is in here as well, and all other kind of information. We deal with contract, the importance of understanding what a contract is. All right, but all of those are in here, but we give you the laminated copies. Why? Because we want you to put them up on your walls, put them up on your refrigerator, put them up on your mirrors. We want you to have these around. We want them to be staring at you so you can get these laws inside your system. Now, also, I want to make sure you all know how to keep your job from taking taxes from your wages. That seminar, if you want to enroll for that, please go and enroll right now. Right now. You can check the link in the bio. It's the top link. Okay, or you can go to UNARepublic.com. UNARepublic.com. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for joining. Who else is in the house? All right, so let's get into this. All right, dealing with women in history, the truth. Women in history. Now, I said earlier that I get a lot of angry people, women and men, when I start talking about this information. And so if you're here on this session, please take notes. Please take notes. Now, I can only do so much on TikTok and YouTube. I don't have my visual aid set up here. So you're going to have to take notes. And I'm going to go through this and give you some information. And then you can go and look it up for yourself. All right? Now, let's go through this. Women in history, the truth. Now, one of the really, how do you say, inflammatory. I don't know if inflammatory is the word, but people get so upset when I say that women used to own everything. This whole planet was a matriarchal planet. Matriarchal, meaning that it was ruled by women. All right? The planet was originally a matriarchal planet. It was ruled by women. Now, how you know, Diva? What you talking about? That don't even make no sense. How women owned all of the land, all of the wealth, all of the knowledge, all of the riches. And when somebody says, when was that? We're talking about long before. And as a matter of fact, let me say this. We're talking about in definitely BC. But even in the AD, meaning, and for those of y'all who not understanding what I'm saying, we're talking about the time frame. When you hear BC, people are talking about quote unquote before Christ. And when you hear AD, that's after the change of that period there. Now, going into the AD, even when you go back into the 1400s, there's evidence that it was the woman that was ruling everything. And I want you to look up the term matriarchal or matriarchy. All right? Matriarchy. What does that mean? Ma. It means ma. That M-A stands for mother. All right? And then when you're talking about patriarchy, the P-A stands for father or paternal. M-A is ma for mother. And the P-A stands for paternal or father. Now, why are those two terms even in existence? This is one of the things people are not recognizing. Well, it's in existence because it existed at one point where there wasn't a patriarchy, it was a matriarchy, but when the male took the woman over. And see, I go into this because when you understand universal laws and you understand energies, you can see what happened in the past. You can see it. But I don't have time to go into that right now. I'm just going to give you information that you can go and look up, and then you can find the clues for yourself. But there was a time when women ruled everything, and she lost her power. She lost her knowledge. And why did she lose it? Well, she was taken over by the male. But let's understand something. She was taken over because she was doing dirt to the male. I need y'all to understand this. When there is a universal law, and it talks about how there are no victims. How there are no victims. And this includes melanated people. This includes children that might be going through whatever they're going through. This includes the woman that's getting beat up in her household. This also includes women in general when we look at where the woman is in this society as almost a second-class citizen. All right? So we've got to understand that where she is not where she was. The same way when we look at melanated people and they trying to tell us melanated people were slaves, and then we go back and do history and we recognize, no, melanated people ruled everything. The melanated people were the kings and the queens. The melanated people were the original royalty. Well, why are they so low now and everybody's trying to act like they came from some slaves when they're not even recognizing the fact that the original melanated people on the planet, or the original royalty rather on the planet, all of them, I don't care if you're talking about England or Dutch or what, Spaniards, all royalty on this planet originally was melanated people. But why is it that that's not recognized? Because that's part of history that's been hidden, the same way a part of history has been hidden about women and who they really were. So let me go back and say this, and I know it's going to upset some people, but please go do some homework on the information that I'm about to present. Women originally ruled this planet. This was originally a matriarchal society. And we can see this. I'm going back to this question because somebody said, when was this? Let's go to the 1400s. Christopher Columbus, before he even sailed over to close to the Americas or wherever he sailed. If you look at the Iroquois Confederacy, all right, the Iroquois Confederacy is now we know of it as a document. But in this document, by the way, is what was the Constitution was derived from. The Constitution of the United States of America, the organic Constitution, and anything coming after that, was derived from the Iroquois Confederacy. Look that up. The Iroquois, I don't even want to spell it. Look it up. Iroquois Confederacy. Now, with the Iroquois Confederacy, in that document, it is specifically stating that if a man wants to own something or run something, he got to come through a woman. In that document, this is the Iroquois Confederacy. This is the document that ran all of the people of land, the nations, the different nations from as far as Canada to as far south as South America. In this document, it is specifically stating that women own everything. She is the one who owns everything, and if he wants something, he has to come through her. Those were matriarchal societies here in what we know of as the Americas. Now, that was in the 1400s. There are still some matriarchal societies today. They're very few and far in between. China. There's some in some of the Asian, one that I know of in some of the Asian countries, but they have been taken over. So I need to go through what has happened. So I've given you a couple things that I need you to look up so that you understand we're not that far removed from it, that some of them still exist, but they were taken over. Okay, I want to go through. Now, that's a legal document that I've just told you about. That's a legal document that you can look up and you can see, hey, matriarchy was real. On an etymological standpoint, let's look at a term that we are all familiar with. The term Mason. California says, did the Romans change it? I'm going to tell you, the Romans, that time frame, it's possible that some things went on during that Roman period, but I still need you to understand that women as a whole were doing dirt. I want to go into the term Mason. This is a term a lot of us are familiar with. Mason. M-A-S-O-N. And I really would love it one day when I get when TikTok lets me get my visual aids up here. But Mason, we're going to break down that term. You have the term ma, once again for maternal, son, meaning offspring of the mother. So you got ma for mother, son, meaning offspring of the mother. What was going on is that with this Mason group, it was the mother teaching her son the esoteric knowledge. And I'm going to go back to this because women have lost a lot of their knowledge. When she forgot who she was, who self was, she has forgotten how to tap into all of her powers. But when she was teaching her son this esoteric knowledge, she was teaching him things that he was never supposed to know in the first place. I'm going to say this again. When she was teaching him that esoteric knowledge, these universal laws that we talk about and how I can tell what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, she was teaching him that information, and originally he wasn't supposed to ever know that. He was a slave. He was someone who wasn't supposed to have knowledge. He wasn't supposed to have longevity of life. Now I'm gonna go into some things so I can break this down, and I got time today. I'm taking a little bit of time today because I wanted to make sure that I can go through this, because I know it's going to upset people. People hear a little snippet and they go, "Oh, that ain't true." Yeah, but then they don't hear the full information, and they don't go and do their research. All right, so we're here at this point where we're saying Mason, where the woman was now teaching the son all of the esoteric knowledge. Let me go through what the Bible is, because I need y'all to understand something. All right, I talked about BC and AD. BC, before Christ. AD, meaning Anno Domini, or after the birth of Christ. All right, so the Bible was created in the AD, 325 AD. Now, I need y'all to understand that the scriptures in the Bible have been around way before AD came about. The scriptures in the Bible are so old, they don't know how old. They can't even date them, because they're much older than the Bible. The Bible came in AD, the scriptures came in BC. Now, let's understand who wrote the scriptures. I want y'all to look up the term sibyls and oracles. Sibyls and oracles. When we're talking about all of the prophecies and all that in the Bible, they came from the sibyls and oracles. Those were the ones, the reason why they could prophesy is because they knew the laws. They had knowledge of those esoteric laws or universal laws, and the basis of how this dimension is made up. They knew the spiritual side of this game. I'm laughing at 610 big stretch. AD doesn't stand for after the death, but I'm laughing because I remember that was said when I was in elementary school, when the terms AD and BC were introduced. But it means Anno Domini, but work with that if that works for you. Any rate, going back, BC, before Christ, AD, Anno Domini, and what had happened is we got this Bible over here that was created from the scriptures that came from the women, sibyls and oracles, who were writing them and writing those prophecies in them. All right, so who wrote the Bible, or I'm going to say who constructed the Bible, because what the Bible is a canon. A canon meaning a book of these different scriptures, all right, but the ones that they wanted to keep in. They left out books. So I need y'all to understand, the sibyls and oracles over here in the BC writing these scriptures, and then the man is starting to slowly take her over. The male is starting to slowly take her over, and to the point where he takes the scriptures and writes her out of her own book. These scriptures belong to her. She was the one who had all of the knowledge and the information. She started teaching him that knowledge and information. And then when we get over here to what we call AD, he creates religion and this book of her scriptures, where he has written her out of her own scriptures. She also began to lose knowledge of self. She became ignorant, and she was doing disrespectful things to the male, which is why he took her over in the first place. He is her creation. The male is the creation of the woman. He is her creation. Oh, I know I'm going to upset a lot of people on that. Because the Bible said that the woman come from the man's rib. Once again, those scriptures belong to her. He has written her out of her scriptures. Now, tell me why the Bible is copyrighted. If it's the word of God, Tell me why the Bible is copyrighted if it truly is the Word of God. You cannot copyright God's Word, because God's words belong to everybody, not just one being who can come in and copyright it. So if this is God's Word, how is it copyrighted? You look in your Bible and tell me if you see a C with a circle around it. What that means is that ain't God's Word. Somebody has changed the Word and made it where it suited their purpose. So I'm not, y'all know I have a great deal of respect for the Bible. However, it is not the perfect Word of God. And it does have lies in it. It's got a lot of truth, got a lot of power. But you can look at any kind of anything and recognize that you cannot get a female from a male. Science even shows that. If you even, and I'm going to get into the molecular side of this game, but y'all just, once again, go do your homework and find out which comes first, an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. Just look it up. Look it up. Which comes first? The X chromosome or the Y chromosome? Every male watching this session right here was originally a female. Every male watching this session right here was originally a female. I'm going to say it again. Every male watching this session right here was originally a female. Everything comes from the feminine. This is law. This is not deeply remaking this up. Go look it up. Just look up which comes first, the X chromosome or the Y chromosome. When you look it up, what you're going to find is that the Y chromosome is a derivative of the X, meaning that the original was the X, and then the Y chromosome was derived from the X. You can't get an X chromosome from a Y, but you can get a Y chromosome from the X. How is that? And I'm going to tell you about this, and then we're going to move on. And if y'all have any intelligent questions, if you're angry, save your comments, go do some homework, and come back and let's talk. All right, let's go into the molecular side of this game. When you have an X chromosome, and we're talking about the X sex chromosome, it has 1,400 genes in it. The X chromosome, the X sex chromosome, y'all know we got, for those of y'all who don't know, 23 chromosomes coming from the mother, 23 chromosomes coming from the father. Okay, and I'm going to go into before that time in a few seconds. 23. One of those 23 chromosomes on each side is a sex chromosome. All right. Now, all of them are X's, but we're going to specifically talk about that sex chromosome. It has 1,400 genes in it for the feminine, whereas the Y chromosome has 1,300 genes missing. I'm going to say it again. The Y chromosome has 1,300 chromosomes missing. So what has happened is this Y chromosome has been degraded, for lack of a better term. It has been degraded. The X chromosome has been degraded to a Y chromosome, whereby a lot of the genes have been removed from it. So originally this Y chromosome was an X. And then there's a process that happens. I'm not going into it today. Unless you ask, I'll tell you what happens. But it's a lot of information. But a process happens whereby 1,300 genes of that X chromosome are removed, and then it becomes a Y. But before that that was a full set of 1,400 genes in it. It was an X. And then a process happens whereby those genes are removed and it becomes a Y. So it only has 100 chromosomes in it, whereas this X chromosome has 1,400. That's the difference between this X chromosome and this Y. Now, I need y'all from it, and again, go look that up. Look up how many chromosomes are in an X versus in a Y. Look it up. And once again, look up which one was first. This Y used to be an X. That's on a molecular level. Bipolar says, what happened? I want to know. All right. I need y'all to understand. So I'm going in. Bipolar, I'm going to tell y'all the whole thing now. Bipolar told me to say it. I'm saying it. Okay. All right. I need y'all to understand something about, and before I say this, because I have to make sure my brothers know that I love them. Okay, I don't want y'all to think I'm saying this stuff to be disrespectful or that I got any kind of disdain. I'm just telling you what the facts are, because the more we know about the facts of where we come from, the more we can get back to the gods that we all are, male and female. Okay, so I need you to understand what's going on. Now, when we look at the X and Y chromosome, what we have to understand once again, that everything comes from the feminine. All of the genes, the male, he was originally a female. As a matter of fact, when they talk about a male sperm versus a female sperm, there's no such thing as a male sperm. I'm saying again, there is no such thing as a male sperm. They are all female. All of his sperm are female. It can't be a male, or it can't produce. There is a thing. I'm going to introduce to y'all the mitochondria. Look this up. If you don't know the mitochondria, go look it up. Mitochondria. Mitochondria. All right. Somebody write it in the thing. Mitochondria. There is a process that she goes through once a sperm hits an egg. All right. One of those processes that she goes through is she's checking to see if both of these beings that are coming together that have the same number of chromosomes. She's checking on that. So as soon as the sperm hits the egg, she's going, wait a minute, how many chromosomes does this thing have? And if it does not have the same number of chromosomes in this other X, which is 1,400, so this sperm coming in here, he better have 1,400 genes in this thing, or the mitochondria is going to kill this whole project. She's going to kill that, because she's saying they're not the same species. This is what they're not telling you when you start looking into science and whatever. Why don't they want you to know this? All right? Y'all better, I hope y'all taping this, because they might take me down after I put this information out. But X chromosome has 1,400 genes in it. This chromosome coming in here from the male, it better have 14 genes in it, or the mitochondria. This is Mother Nature. The mitochondria is Mother Nature. She's going to kill this project right here if this thing don't have 1,400 genes in it. It can't be an X, a Y chromosome, because a Y chromosome only has 100. A Y chromosome only has 100 genes in it. And if it doesn't have the right amount, this not going to happen. That's Mother Nature. So what happens is, when this comes in, she's doing a check. There's several other checks that the mitochondria is doing when the sperm hits that egg. But that main one, that first one is like, do these have the same number of genes, which is 23, and the same number of chromosomes in each genes? And if it doesn't, then we're going to stop this right now. Okay, now, what happens to degrade this X chromosome to the Y chromosome. All right. After, 3 months? 3 months. 4 to 6 weeks or 3 months. This is when the degradation of this cell, this chromosome comes in. And it has to do with several things. On a physical level, it has to do with the condition of the mother. Is she happy or sad? Does she hate her job? Does she love her job? Does she got a good relationship going on? Oh, she got kicked out of her house and she got all kind of issues. That is going to determine whether or not this cell is degraded. Also, it has to do on a spiritual level, because y'all got to understand and recognize that when we come back into these vessels, we're old spirits, or old souls. You ever hear people say, oh, she got an old soul? Well, all of us do. All of us have cosmic baggage. And the mitochondria, Mother Nature can see it. So listen up. Because it's the mitochondria that degrades a cell. It's the mitochondria. Because she's checking all kind of stuff when this sperm hits this egg. And see, I will go into it. Let me say this to you. And I need to get back to this because there's been a lot of tampering with Mother Nature. Not just in this dimension, but even in times, these vessels come from a tampering with Mother Nature. These vessels. And what do I mean? I'm telling you about this egg. You got this egg here, and it's got all of these mitochondrial cells in it. But she's not producing. She's in a coma. That's not natural. Because the mitochondria, when she's alert, she's going to produce. But somebody, this is when we go back to the Anunnaki and people who had the ability to manipulate genes and cells. Yeah, somebody had the ability to put the mitochondria in a coma. But when that sperm hits that cell, she awakens. And the first thing she's doing is checking to see what's going on with this sperm. Or these genes, rather. So what happens is, once she's awakened, she's checking for these genes. She's checking to see, okay, does this one have the same number of chromosomes as this one? Do they have the same number of genes? Okay, if they do, okay, let me go ahead and start multiplying. Okay, she starts multiplying. And then in that third week, there's another check. I want y'all to look up this term now. I'm going deep. I didn't mean to go this deep. But I got to go a little bit deeper because there's so much to this and understanding how the woman and who she is and how she lost track of her knowledge of self. There's so much to it that I need to take some time. Yolk sac. I want you to look up a yolk sac. Now you're going to get into science now. When that yolk sac starts to form, right? In the first couple of weeks. But after probably about 3 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, this yolk sac empties back into the embryo. This is where all of the cells in your ovaries come from. After 4 to 6 weeks, the yolk sac empties back into the embryo, and this is where the eggs in your ovaries come from. And men, I need y'all to understand, you too have ovaries. They are called scrotum. You have ovaries. They're called scrotum. And in those scrotum, you have ovums or eggs. Just like the woman has. She got in her ovaries. You got the same. You got eggs. And they're all feminine. They females. And if you don't believe me, go and look up oogenesis, oogenesis, and look up spermatogenesis. And in spermatogenesis, what you're going to find, they're going to tell you, oh, this is the mother cell. And then they're going to tell you that mother cells breaks down to 2 sister cells. Wait a minute. Why they sister cells? Why they not uncle cells or brother cells? No, they sister cells. And then those 2 sister cells break down to 2 more daughter cells. Wait a minute. I thought we were talking about sperm. I thought we were talking about in the man. No. He got a mother cell that goes to 2 sister cells right here, and those 2 sister cells go to 2 daughter cells. Wait, why we ain't talking about the son cells? What happened to the nephew cells? No. They all feminine. Everything is feminine. Everything comes from the feminine. You used to be feminine. You are inside out female. That's not this. I'm just letting you know what happened. So when the mitochondria goes through her check, now she's got a second check that she's going through. When that yolk sac empties back into that embryo, yeah, she got another check coming, because all hell getting ready to break loose in that embryo. Because now what has happened is she's recognized, wait a minute, these are 2 different strands of DNA coming from 2 different beings. Because I need y'all to know something, women. You used to be able to procreate on your own. And you still can. You still got everything you need to do it. But you lack discipline. You lack knowledge of self. You had the ability, and you still do have the ability to procreate on your own. It's called parthenogenesis. Look it up. P-A-R-T-H-E-N. Parthen. O, meaning of. Genesis, G-E-N-E-S-I-S, meaning creation. Parthenogenesis, meaning creation of asexual birth. You had the ability to do that, and you still do have the ability to do that. But you lack knowledge of self. You lack discipline. The mitochondria now is checking, because now she sees that these 2 X chromosomes are not from the same being. Why does she even care if they was from the same being? Because that's how all of the original beings on the planet used to procreate. Asexual birth. I don't even want to get into who the original beings on the planet were. Y'all thinking 2 arms, 2 legs. That's not, no. Mitochondria is one of the original beings on the planet. And she procreates via asexual birth. So when she sees these 2 contracts here, because they're chromosomes, but she sees these 2 contracts, one is from the male and one from the female, now she's like, wait a minute, these not from the same being. There's a problem here. And so now what she's going to do is she's checking to see what spiritual essence is coming into here. See, I can only tell it to you from a spiritual essence point, but the mitochondria sees something different. She can see who the spiritual entity is that's coming into this vessel. 2 things is what she's looking, what determines whether or not she breaks the contract. All right? The condition of the mother, and whatever the spiritual entity is that's coming into this vessel. Now, I need y'all to pay attention to something, okay? Because I know this is getting deep, and it's hard for me to explain it to you without my visual aids, but follow me, okay? The mitochondria is checking for what the spiritual essence is of the being coming into this vessel. Now, once she determines the spiritual essence of the being, simply because these are not from the same being, there's some degradation ready to be going on. First of all, if she determines that the spiritual essence is good enough for her not to degrade the other chromosome over here, she's gonna, at least what she's gonna do is make it unattainable. So you notice in the woman, she's got 2 X's. All right, she's going to take one of these X's and she's going to turn it off. It's not going to be accessible to her. All right. But if she determines that this is a being that fought against the mother at another time, she's going to degrade this contract over here. She's going to rip out 1,300 of the genes to where this becomes a Y chromosome. I'm going to say this to you again because I need you to understand that when the sperm hits the egg, this doesn't start off as a Y. If it was a Y starting from the beginning, then you don't have to wait 3-4 weeks before you know the sex of the child. If this sperm came in as a Y, then you would know right away. The doctor would be able to pull, because it starts multiplying. After a day, you're going to know. If it was a Y coming in, all the doctor need to do is pull one of those genes and test it. Okay, it's got this many chromosomes. It's a boy. But no, it's a girl. All the way up until 4 weeks. And what ends up happening is, at that 4 week, this is when that yolk sac is emptying back, and this is when all your ovums or your eggs are going into your ovaries. Still a girl. Still a girl. If she determines, the mitochondria determines that, oh, she can, keep her full X chromosome over here, she's going to make it where it's dormant. She's going to turn it off. And I'm going to tell y'all why this X chromosome is so important. But if it is if she determines that this is a male, or it's been, this spirit has fought against the mother in the past, she's going to degrade this chromosome. She's going to rip 1,300 of the genes out of it to where it becomes a Y. And it is at that time when those ovaries have to exit that vessel. And this is why his ovaries exit the vessel, and so does his vagina exit the vessel. This is when he gets a penis and he gets scrotum. All it is a vagina outside the vessel, and his ovaries are outside of his vessel. This is when the womb degrades and it becomes a prostate. What is the prostate but a non-functioning womb? What is the penis but a vagina that's outside of the vessel? What are the scrotum but the ovaries that have fallen outside of the vessel? This is due to the degradation of that X chromosome to a Y. Now, I need y'all to understand something. When we're talking about male, and again, this is not a diss, I need you to understand what's going on. When we're talking about a male anything, this is a being that comes about by way of genetic modification. And I need y'all to go and look this up, because once again, this is what is not told to us. This is not a diss to my brothers. I love you. I'm just telling you what science and what the society is not telling us, so that we can get back on track. When we're talking about the Y chromosome, science tells you that it is not a natural entity. It comes about because somebody genetically modified the X chromosome. It is a parasitic, unnatural, recessive trait. It's unnatural. It's a GMO. And so what I'm telling you that so that you understand that, again, I talk about tampering. These vessels have been tampered with. This is not natural. Somebody had to make it where we could procreate. So with all of that being said, I'm just helping you or giving you this information. If you want to go and look this information up, please do. If you don't, I get it. You're just going to be upset. All right. But the bottom line here is this, that when we're talking about the woman, I'm going to go back to this. She used to be able to procreate on her own. She still has the ability. Look up parthenogenesis. Diva, what you talking about? Where? They ain't never happened. Who you know? What woman you know that used to procreate on her own? Okay, I'm going to give you two things that I need you to look up. Amazon women of South America. And look up the Khalifa tribe of North America. K-A-L-I-F-A. This is the woman who, California is named after. She actually had an all-woman tribe. Spaniards came in, they was like, look at these beautiful black women. Then they named, that's how the country, the state, California, got named after the Khalifa tribe of all women. They procreated on their own. And then when you do your research, you're going to find that the beings, they call them gods in the Bible. When we look at ancient scripture or other ancient texts, we find out, another term for some of these beings was Anunnaki. But they were known to procreate on their own. But what happened? When she started using other beings to procreate, well, this is when we're talking about the male. When she uses a male to procreate, then that whatever the offspring is, they're going X. If the X stays an X, it's going to be turned off. It's going to become dormant. And if it doesn't, and if she does anything else, what she's going to do for the male is she's going to rip out the genes. Now, I want to talk about this dormant X chromosome, because while it is dormant, when you come into a knowledge of self, those powers turn back on. This is where your X-Men powers are. Now, again, I'm not here to make you believe what I say. I'm just giving you the information. If you want to go and look it up, fine. If you don't, I respect that. All right. When we're talking about your X-Men powers, X-Men, why do they call it X-Men in the first place? Well, X, meaning the feminine. X-Men, it was the feminine. All of these things that they were doing in these movies, women have those powers. Yes, you do have the power to communicate without moving your mouth. You've got the power to levitate and travel and all this other stuff that these X-Men were able to do. That's inside of this dormant chromosome, this dormant X chromosome. And that is what was turning back on now. The powers within this dormant X chromosome are turning back on. Some women are able to even tap into this. This is why, y'all not understanding women. I had to go through this because women don't understand what their power is. And I'm not telling you to take it or not. But when you hear people talking about, oh, she too much man. She's too much man for him. She too much, she won't let him be a man. You got to understand. She got both of her chromosomes. And he's got a fraction of the chromosome that she has within her. When she's able to tap into this, she's going to have a lot of strength and a lot of power. When she's able to tap into this, she's going to have a lot of strength and power. And some women don't even know they're tapping into it. But you got to understand, look at what she's got. She got this 2X chromosomes. He's got a Y, which is a fraction of what her X is, and the two X's that she has. But one of them she's not tapped into in most cases. But if she starts to tap into that, she's going to have a lot of strength. And yeah, she's going to overpower him a little bit. He's going to be like, wow, ain't no place for me. No, because she's tapped in. Let me continue. All right. So we're understanding now that we've got these two chromosomes, one X, one Y. It started off being an X, and then it was degraded to a Y. And I'm just making sure it's clear that everything comes from the feminine, everything. And once again, those eggs in his scrotum or ovaries are no different, women, than the eggs in your ovaries. All the ones in your ovaries are X. All the ones in his scrotum are X. That's why they keep calling it a mother cell inside of his scrotum. That's why they keep calling it two daughter cells when the mother cell breaks down. That's why they call it, no, these are two sister cells. And then these go to 4 daughter cells. Why is that? If we're talking about a male. Because they're all feminine. They're not telling us that, which they should. I want to go into, I've talked about the etymological, I've talked about the legal side, I've talked about the molecular side to help you understand that the feminine is first. And even going back to the molecular side, you cannot get an X from a Y. So for somebody in the biblical sense to be saying, well, the Bible say that the Bible says that the woman comes from the man's rib. You can't get an X chromosome from a Y. All right, but if you go and read some of these older scriptures, then you'll find out what really went down with the rib story. All right, if you read the book of Enki, read some of the left out books, you'll find out what went down. Now, I need to get back on this biblical side because, again, BC and AD, the male started to take over the woman. When we're talking about the Bible and religion, all religions are patriarchal. Religion came about, again, in the BC, in the AD. After the birth of Christ, this is when religion came about. And what started, all religions, by the way, all religions are patriarchal. Remember, pa for paternal. All religions are patriarchal. And this is where the male started to take over the woman. And when he created the Bible, he took her stories and wrote her out of her own stories. And so now you got a situation where the woman is now becoming subservient. Now I want to go into some of the things that we find that the woman did. I told you she treated him like a slave. And by treating him like a slave, and I go into universal law because when you put that energy out, it must come back. When you put out an energy, it has to return to you by law. And so you might be thinking, well, she treated him like a slave, but she ain't no slave. I need y'all to understand what marriage is. Now I'm going to really upset some people. Let me take some scissors. Jay Darnell, thank you for joining. Shelley from the block, thank you for joining. Jay, go to, if you want to join the seminar, go to UNA University and scroll down and you'll be able to click on the link to join the seminar, okay? UNAuniversity.com. UNAuniversity.com, you can scroll down and you'll be able to click on that link. All right. what was I? Okay, religion. And how we can tell that it was the woman who did dirt. What is marriage? All right. Marriage, I need y'all to look up, because what happened is marriage came about because he wanted to control her. Okay? She went from being the one in control to the one being controlled. Look up what the term husband means. The etymology of the term husband. Husband means the manager of a farm animal. Husband means the manager of a farm animal. And when you look up the certificate, the marriage certificate, that was created so that he could do commerce with her across state lines. Commerce. All right. If you look up the term commerce, if you look hard enough, you're going to find the etymology of it. It means, it's got the word sex there. You're talking about commerce, you're talking about doing sex. He needed to have a license so he could have sex or commerce with her across state lines. See, we have come to glamorize the whole institution of marriage when originally it was just him having certificates showing that she was his property. That's what the marriage certificate was for, showing that he was that she was his property. And so that he can do commerce or have permission to do commerce with this farm animal that he was a manager of. I'm not telling you not get married or get divorced, none of that. I'm just telling you what the history is. Then you could take it how you want to. Some of y'all not liking this because I get it. Well, I like my marriage. I want this. Excellent. I'm not telling you not to do anything. I'm letting you know what marriage was, how it came about, because he wanted to control her. All right. Moving forward, again, you can tell what she did by the treatment and the energy she was now receiving from the male. Again, I say to you, I need y'all to understand all of this stuff. When you start recognizing it, all of this stuff is cyclical. It's a cycle. So watch this now. The woman creates the male and he takes her over. All right. And he gives her the treatment that she gave him. I need y'all, some of y'all know the answers to this. But who created the Albions? Light-skinned people, so-called white people. Who created them? Let me see it in the box. Who created them? Where they come from? Anybody? Where do light-skinned people come from? All right, Yaqub. And then who was Yaqub though? See, the Albion, so-called white people, come from melanated people. They were grafted from melanated people. So when you're talking about Yaqub was what they call the big head scientist, and Yaqub had the ability or knowledge about genetic manipulation. And so he manipulated the cell whereby he found a way to target that dark cell, whether it be the melanin or the carbon. And then when he's targeted that and he suppressed it, then he could get a lighter being. All right? Lighter skinned being. And so this was Yaqub creating these light-skinned beings. And they say Yaqub is the creator of your light races. They say Yababoyhu, or Yahweh, which it was shortened so that the light-skinned people could pronounce it. But Yababoyhu means creator of the light-skinned races. All right. So, but they were created via grafting. Now, melanated people created the light-skinned folks. And if you know history and you've done any research, you know that the original slaves in the Americas were Albions. They were not melanated people. If you've done any homework or research, you know that it was your Moors of Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli. They were kidnapping these Albions from places like Italy and Sicily and Ireland. And they were shipping them in to places like Africa and North America. And they were treating them like slaves. They were slaves. They were the original slaves. As a matter of fact, look up the etymology. So I'm giving y'all a lot of stuff. I hope y'all looking this up. Do your homework. Slave. The etymology of the term means Slavic or Slovakian. Those are light-skinned folks. Those are Albions. Those were the original slaves in the Americas. Who brought them to the Americas? Melanated people. So remember I said, when you put out an energy, by law, it must come back to you. And I want you all to also remember that you are your ancestors. So when your ancestors do some dirt, then you've got to receive that energy. So is there any wonder why you got these Albions over here so angry and inward, and wanting to go back and putting their foot on the necks of melanated people? Is there any wonder that we're getting that energy when we understand the truth about history and the fact that it was Albions that were the first slaves in the Americas, and it was melanated people who enslaved them and treated them dirty? So it was the melanated people who created the Albion, and then the Albion comes back to take over the melanated people. All right. Thank you. What is that? Maz, M-A-A-H-E-S says, that's why we can't get angry with them. That's right, because you get angry with them. First of all, you got to recognize they are just returning an energy. Second of all, if you get angry with them, you're just going to put another energy out and it's going to come back to you. So I'm saying this to say that one of the things that we're seeing is that a being will create something. And then if depending on the energy that they put on that being is going to determine how that being treats them. So you got the melanated people who created the Albion, and then the Albion comes back and tries to take over the melanated people, or does. And then you've got your women who've created men, and men come back to take her over. It's not happenstance that she's getting the treatment from men that she's getting. She is not a victim. There are no victims. She's being treated like a second-class citizen because she treated him like that. Why in some countries women are not supposed to go to school? They're not allowed to read. They're not allowed to do all these things. She's getting a return of energy. Because originally it was the man that wasn't supposed to read. I want to say this when we talk about the Anunnaki, and then I'm gonna try to finish up here. When we talk about the Anunnaki, a lot of people will ask, well, why do you think the Anunnaki left? What you think happened? And I'm letting you know, I don't think they left at all. There are too many signs that show that they're still here. When you do your research, you'll see it. When you do your research, you're going to see that there are too many signs that show that they're still here. However, once again, I need y'all to understand something. The Anunnaki tried to kill the humans off, according to scripture, according to the Bible, according to left out books of the Bible, according to Sumerian text. Yeah, they tried to kill the humans off. And when you put an energy out, it must come back. So who created the humans? Yeah, supposedly the Anunnaki. And supposedly some of them didn't treat the humans well. And so what's got to happen by law? If you don't treat your creation with respect and love, it's going to take you over, and it's going to put a foot on your neck. All right? So, do I have any questions? I know I got a lot of comments. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I said marriage is a contract. Marriage is absolutely a contract. Thank you. Who said that? Love More is absolutely a contract. Woman, Mother Nature doesn't exist. Woman, Mother Nature doesn't exist. Ryan, let me tell you something. When I'm speaking about Mother Nature, really I'm talking about the mitochondria. And the mitochondria absolutely does exist, and I need you to go look that up and make sure that you do some research on who the mitochondria is. If you're talking about Mother Nature, the mitochondria, she has all that power. She's the one. This is her dimension. Anything you see, feel, and touch, whether it be wood, glass, plastic, your skin, anything else, it came through the womb of the mitochondria. That's Mother Nature. It literally came through her womb. That's Mother Nature. All right. So I need you all to take some time out to study before you knee-jerk. So I want to thank all of you all for joining and listening. I know this was a lot of information. There's really a whole lot more to what I've said. My main point is this, all right? We've gone over the legal aspect of, what went on with women, meaning go look at the Iroquois Confederacy, all right? We dealt with the etymology, where I talked to you about Mason and where that term comes from, and the woman teaching the son the esoteric knowledge of what this dimension is all about. We talked about the molecular side. We go into the X and the Y chromosome, and the fact that the Y chromosome is a derivative of the X, and it is not a natural being. That Y chromosome is not natural. We've talked about, the Bible and how the woman was doing dirt, and this is why she was taken over, with marriage, and what marriage really is. It's a contract whereby he is the owner of her, a husband. Y'all look up the etymology. A husband is a manager of farm animals. That's what he was. She was to him a farm animal. But today we glorify this institution that we call marriage. All right, I've talked a little bit about the sperm and what the sperm is. Okay, so all I'm saying to you is this: do some research. And women, please understand, you have a power that is turning back on when we talk about this other X chromosome that is dormant. This is where your X-Men powers are. You cannot access it until you gain knowledge of self, until you gain discipline. When we're talking about being able to meditate and levitate and astral travel and speak without moving your mouth, all of those are true powers. They are all true powers. When they're talking about all these superheroes and these comic books, those type of people walk this planet. You have those powers when you're tapped in. But right now, we're not tapped in. We eating all kind of garbage. We're doing all kind of stuff to our vessels that we shouldn't be doing. We have no idea of how to make our own body do what we need it to do. You've lost that knowledge. And I go into, why we lost that knowledge. But yeah, the man comes from the woman. He is a derivative of her. But somebody writes a Bible and copyrights it and changes the whole story around, and now everybody wants to believe a woman some kind of way comes from a male, when scientifically it is not possible to do that. All right, I want y'all to know I love you. If you want to be a part of the seminar, go to UNARepublic.com. My people on YouTube, UNARepublic.com. Go there and find the information. So I want y'all to know I love you. Don't forget, get this law book also. It's got a lot of powerful tools in it and information. Again, if some of y'all have any issues, I want you to hit me in the inbox. Let's have this conversation, because my job is to only give you the facts, and then you go and research them for yourself. You find something different, then let's have a conversation about it. Okay, I want y'all to know, once again, I'm yours truly, Diva Marie. I'm going to see y'all too next time, and I hope y'all will be here. All right, I want y'all to know I love you. I love you, and I love you. We're going to see y'all